Hello, my name's Donna and I'm a fabric sculpting tutor, which basically means I sculpt with old bits of fabric that I would otherwise throw away. So I do a lot of upcycling. And over the summer holidays I thought I would be doing some mini tutorials for people who want to do easy projects with kids, or just for adults if you like. The medium that I use is called Powertex. It's this here, comes in different sizes and different colours, and it's amazing stuff. It's non-toxic, water-based, and brilliant stuff to work with. What I would say is, if you're using it, wear old clothes. By the nature of it, if it gets on your clothes it won't come off, and put a floor cover down. If it gets on your skin it will peel off like PVA glue, but I tend to wear old clothes and gloves when I'm working with it. So today I thought I would show you a really simple project to do with old paintbrushes that have gone stiff. I'm rubbish at looking after paintbrushes. I always forget to put them in water, and then because of the kind of things that I paint with, they end up going stiff. So rather than throw them away, I upcycle them into magic wands. And I'm going to show you how you can do the same thing, either with your kids at home, or if you're into magic of all sorts, then you can make them yourself. And what you need is a stubby paintbrush, some tin foil, some Powertex. I am aware that not everyone's got Powertex. You can order some from me if you like the look of it. Get in touch and I can make up a little starter kit for you. But also I do, if I haven't got any around, I'll just paint a paintbrush and put some string around. You know, it's not quite as effective, but does the trick. I use some pigment, which is Powertex pigment, but again any paint will do on the project. I use some Powertex varnish, scraps of old t-shirts, bits of string, any embellishments that you fancy blinging up your wand with are good, and a bit of paper towel and a flat brush. So, oh sorry, one more thing, masking tape. So I'll show you how I do it. It's dead easy, really good fun to do. And yeah, if you fancy having a go, get in touch with me if you want to buy some stuff. But if not, just mess about, see what happens. So what I've got to make my wand, I've got my stubby paintbrush that I haven't looked after, and it's just stiff as anything now. And the first thing I'm going to do with this is cover up the brush side, the brush end, with some tin foil. So that I make that kind of wandy shape at that end, so it's going from thick to thin. What I do then, and I've done this on one already, like Blue Peter, so you're not listening to the sound of me with masking tape, but I just masking tape everything. So I've got that one shape now. And what I do then, I get my Powertex that I've given a good shake and poured into my container. Only pour out what you think you're going to need, because if you pour it back into the tub, it doesn't like it, it kind of separates a bit on itself. So only pour out what you think you're going to need, and if you pour too much out, which I often do, as long as you cover that over, put some wrapping over it or a lid on it, that will last for about 5 days or up to a week, so you'll be able to use it still. And I've got my strips of cotton that I've cut up earlier. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to soak the cotton into the Powertex. This is the messy bit. Now, if you're doing this with kids, make sure they've got their oldest clothes on, because by the very nature of it, if it gets on your clothes, it won't come off. If it gets on skin, it will peel off like PVA glue. But you're better off wearing gloves and cover down on the floor. Just make sure everything that matters to you is safely covered up, really. And what I'm doing now, if you can see, I'm working it in with my fingers. So I don't want to see any bits of material showing through, but I don't want it soaking wet. So the best way to do it is get a bit on your fingers and you rub it in. So again, depending on the age of the child, if you're doing it with children, sometimes I will hold the strip up like that for them and get them to run their fingers down it, because it can get quite messy, this bit. But obviously it's important that they are doing it because it's their wand. So if I'm doing a workshop with kids and they are just getting it everywhere, I'll just hold it up and then with their messy fingers they can squeeze down. And once it's all covered, you're going to start to cover your wand. And now kind of start there, putting it over there. And then you're just going to wind it around, making sure that all that masking tape is covered. Now, don't worry about ridges like this, because the more ridges you get in it, the better it's going to be when you add your colour at the end. So you're just turning it around, really. Tiny bit more. And again, like you did at the top, make sure that that bottom bit is completely covered. So I've got that there now. So now if I want to add some embellishments, I add all sorts. I add buttons, bits of string, anything I've got laying about, I can stick that on now. Today I've just got, to show you, you don't need much at all, I've just got some bit of blue material, which exactly the same. I'll just get it all covered. And I'll just wiggle that down, really. I can make all sorts of patterns with it if I want. Quite often, depending on the child, they like to stick like a little toy spider or something on. Feathers are always nice to stick on. Just keeping it really simple today to show you don't need much at all. Just make a wiggly pattern. Cut it off at the end. So there we go. And if I wanted to put like some costume jewellery on there, I could do. You can go to town with them if you want to, but for the demo I will keep it really nice and simple. So all I've used there is my Powertex and some bits of cotton. So I'll put that aside to dry. If I want to speed it up, I can use a hairdryer. But if I put that aside to dry on a nice sunny day outside, it will take about an hour to dry. And once it's dry, they can start to add the colour, which is where it starts to come to light. Okay, so once it's dry, this has been out in the garden for a couple of hours really. You can leave it overnight if you want. And you can see I can touch it now, nothing comes off. And it dries nice and hard. So now we're going to add some colour to it. The colour that I'm going to use is one of the Powertex pigments, that's the silver. Comes in all different colours. If you haven't got the Powertex pigments, you can use any colour you want really. Acrylics, the mica powders, anything you've got will do. But these are lovely. and I use a Powertex easy varnish with it. If you're using acrylic, you won't need a varnish. But what I'm going to do what's called dry brushing, which means I'm not going to paint all of it. I'm just going to pick out the highlights of it, which gives it quite a nice effect. Now, some children that I've worked with like to paint everything, and again, it's their wand, they can do what they want really, but this, I'm going to show you how to dry brush. What you do is have a little bit of the varnish out. I'm actually going to put it where you can see it. Just going to unblock that a little bit. It's got a bit blocked because I've used it a lot. So there, you can see it there, I think. There. So I've put a bit of varnish out. And you don't need much. I do send out little starter kits, so if anyone wants a starter kit, rather than buying a whole lot of stuff, get in touch with me and I can send one out to you. A little bit of my pigment. And what I do now, there we go. I put my brush in there and I use a flat brush. Probably for something this size, a small brush is best. So I put my brush in the varnish, in the pigment, and then I wipe it off on my paper towel because it's called dry brushing. So we're not going in really wet. So if you're using an acrylic, just dip it in the acrylic and then wipe it off. And then, let's get this so that you can see it. I'm literally going to skim my brush over these patterns that I've created with the material. Trying to get it so that you can see it. So you can see I'm not brushing everything. I'm literally keeping my brush really flat and skimming over, and you'll see a little goes a long, long, long way. Quite nice to use a bronze sometimes to do this, but I thought because we're doing the black and it's on camera, I thought the silver might show up better for you. I don't know if you can see how those patterns are just starting to stand out now. So again, in the varnish, in the pigment, wipe it off and just very gently skim over. And obviously you can mix colours, have colour combinations. If I'm doing a demo, I like to keep it as simple as I can for people there. Sometimes takes a bit of time to get the knack of this, but once you've got the knack of it, I promise you, you'll be doing it on everything. It's such a nice effect. And you can see it almost starts to come to life as you do it, as it picks up those highlights, it almost starts to come to life. And little is more. Start off lightly and build up to it, rather than going in really heavy first of all. Can you see how that, all those textures look brilliant now? That's all I really need to do to that. If I wanted to add a little tassel onto it now, I could do, or if kids want to add sequins, anything at all, you know, you can just bling them up as much or as little as you want really. But that is your basic wand. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Here's the finished wand. If you fancy blinging them up at all, you can. This one I've added feathers and bits of old junk jewellery too. Just have fun with them. I love making them. I love the fact that I don't throw my old brushes away. Kids love making them and can have a ball with them. What I'd say is, although it's really child friendly, I wouldn't leave them unsupervised with it, because you could end up with a big mess. So yeah, just keep a careful eye on your kids, but most children really love playing with Powertex. That's it. That's this little mini tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you want to check out my Facebook page, it's www.facebook.com/artmurals by Donna Mcghie, and my website is www.artandmurals.co.uk. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye bye.